Welcome students again into the 12th science chemistry class. We are learning the chapter number 1, that is solid state. Now in the yesterday's lecture we learned about the solid state of the matter, types of solids, crystalline solids and amorphous solids, and again we learned some phenomena which are found into the crystalline solids such as the isomorphism and polymorphism. Now today we are going to learn the classification of the crystalline solids. Now there are mainly 4 categories or 4 classes of the crystalline solids. They are ionic solids, covalent network solids, molecular solids and metallic solids. Now these are the 4 types of the crystalline solids. Let us learn one by one the characteristics of these solids. Now the first solid is the ionic crystal. The first crystalline solids is the ionic crystals or ionic solids. They are also called as the ionic crystals. And you know the examples of ionic crystals or solids, that are the copper sulfate, sodium chloride, again KCl, that is the potassium chloride. These are the crystalline solids. Now in these crystalline solids, the constituent particles are the charged ions. Now they are the cation and anions, positively charged and negatively charged ions. But they are bound in such a way in the crystal of the solid that they cancels the charge of each other. So when the crystalline solids, though they contain the ions, but if they are in the solid state, they do not conduct the heat and electricity, because they are bound together in such a way that they cancels the charged on them, and they bound together by the electrostatic force of attraction or Coulombic attraction. But when we dissolve these crystalline solids into the water, or if we melt them, the ions, positive and negative ions, can move from one place to another place, and therefore they conduct the electricity and heat also. That means they becomes good conductors in the liquid state, that is the melted state, or in the solution state. But when they are in the solid state, they are poor conductor or bad conductor of heat and electricity. Now let us learn the one by one characteristics of these ionic crystals or ionic solids. The first one is the constituent particles of ionic crystals are charged ions, the cations and the anions, that is the positively charged ions and negatively charged ions. They may differ in size. Yes, the size of the cations are generally smaller than the anions. Each ion of the given sign of charge is bonded to ions of oppositely charged around it by Coulomb force or Coulombic forces. In other words, the particles of ionic crystals are held together by electrostatic force of attraction between oppositely charged ions. In this way, in the crystals, they are bound, that is the cation and anion are bound together by the Coulombic forces or by the electrostatic force of attraction. Ionic crystals are hard and brittle, yes. When we hammer them, they convert into the powder form. That means they are brittle. Again, they are hard, and they have also the high melting point. The melting point of ionic crystals are high. Remember that. They are non-conductors of electricity in solid state, but they are good conductors when melted or dissolved in water. And the examples of the ionic crystals are sodium chloride, potassium sulfate, copper sulfate, calcium chloride, potassium chloride, etc. These are the ionic crystals. They also have the water of crystallization. We know that in the copper sulfate there is the 7 molecules of 5 molecules of water of crystallization, and in the that is the ferrous sulfate there are the 7 molecules of water of crystallization. That is why they have also that is the crystal like nature. Now next solid, that is the covalent network crystal, that is the covalent solid such as diamond. Now in covalent solid, the constituent particles are atoms, and the atoms are linked together or linked by each other by the covalent bonds, and that's why so many atoms join to each other or linked to each other by the covalent bonding, and they form a giant molecule as that of the diamond, and that is the single molecule, and therefore there is always network as in the diamond. You may see the structure of the diamond, how the structure of diamond into that. Now the structure of diamond is having the network in such a way. The structure is diamond. See here, I draw a small structure of diamond. Now these are the carbon atoms. Now we know that the carbon atoms have that is the tetrahedral structure. They are joined to each other by the tetrahedral structure, and so many carbon atoms in this way they form a network like structure. In this way they always have the network structure, and the structure in diamond we seeing always that is the hexagonal type of structure. Now this is the network like of structure of the diamond. There are the constituent particles are the carbon atoms in the that is the covalent solids or covalent network crystals, and they form a network like giant molecule, that is the single molecule. So the first characteristic of the covalent crystal solid structures or covalent crystals or covalent solids, they have the characteristics are such as the constituent particles in covalent network solids are atoms. Remember that. In ionic crystal, the constituent particles are charged ions, cations and anions. But in covalent network solid, the constituent particles are atoms. Now these are the carbon atoms into the diamond. The second is the atoms in these crystals are linked by the continuous system of covalent bonds. Now these are the continuous system of covalent bonds, and this result in three-dimensional network solid. Now the diamond, you know the structure of the diamond, that is the three-dimensional, having the length, breadth and height, and in this way due to the continuous system of the covalent bonding, this results in three-dimensional network that forms a giant molecule, and the entire crystal is the single molecule. As in diamond, the carbon atoms are linked by the covalent bond. Now let us learn the third point, that is the third characteristics of the covalent crystals. Now let us learn the third characteristic of that of the covalent network solids. And the third characteristic is that as a result of rigid and strongly bonded structure into the covalent network solid, the covalent network crystals are very hard. Remember that. As that of the diamond. Diamond can cut the glass. So, due to the covalent strong and strongly bonded covalent bonds and rigid network structure, these covalent network solids are very hard. In fact, they are the hardest materials of all the material. So in fact they are the hardest and most incompressible. That means they cannot be compressed by any force or pressure. So they are the hardest and incompressible of all the materials. These are the hardest and incompressible material. That is covalent network solids as that of the diamond, which is very hardest substance. That is, it is the hardest substance. They have high melting and boiling points. These covalent network solids have the high melting and boiling points as that of the ionic solids. They also have the high melting and high boiling points. The next characteristic is that of the covalent crystals. The electrons are localized in covalent bonds. That means they are not mobile. The electrons are bonded into the covalent bond. They form the shared pairs in the covalent bond. That means they are localized and hence they are not mobile. Therefore, as a result, covalent solids are poor conductors of heat and electricity. Remember that. In covalent solids, the electrons are localized, they are not mobile. So, covalent solids or covalent network crystals do not conduct heat and electricity. That is, they are the poor conductors of heat and electricity. This is the point. For example, diamond, quartz. Quartz is also, though it is the a compound form, but it is also the quartz, that is the sand. That is the one of the form of the sand. Silica is also the covalent network solid. Due to the silicon, it forms the tetrahedral structure as that of the carbon giant molecule. And boron nitride is also the covalent network type of solid, and carborundum, etc. These are the examples of the covalent network crystals or solids. Now next is the molecular crystal. Third type of the crystalline solid is the molecular crystals or solid. They have the characteristics in this way. The constituent particles of molecular solids are molecules. Definitely they are molecules. But if they are inert gases, like that is inert gases also form the solids on applying the high pressure and low temperature. So in inert gases, unbonded single atoms of the same substance are the constituent particles as argon, neon. But inert gases are generally gaseous in the gaseous state at the room temperature, but at low temperature they can form the solid, and into that inert gases, in the solid inert gases, the constituent particles are the unbonded atoms, because there is no bonding into their atoms, or because they have the already completed octet in the outermost shell. So the constituent particles of the molecular solids are generally, that is the molecules, and in inert gas solids or inert gas compounds in the solid state, they have the unbonded atoms as the constituent particles. Now substances such as chlorine, methane, hydrogen, carbon dioxide, oxygen, these on solidification give molecular crystals, and therefore molecules are their constituent particles. On solidification they gives the molecular solids or crystals. Crystalline organic substances or compounds are also the molecular solids. The crystalline organic compounds such as succinic acid, etc., oxalic acid or benzoic acid, these are also the molecular solids. Into that, their constituent particles are molecules. The bond within the molecule are covalent bond. Within the molecule there is the covalent bond, but the attraction between the two molecules into the molecular solids, they may be molecular intermolecular attractions such as dipole-dipole interaction, hydrogen bonding, London forces or van der Waals forces, etc. but within the molecule there is the covalent bond, and between the two different molecules there is the intermolecular forces of attraction. So the bond within the molecule are covalent, but the molecules are held together by various intermolecular forces of attraction, such as weak dipole-dipole interaction. In 11th standard we learned this dipole-dipole interaction into the polar molecules such as hydrogen chloride, HF, ammonia, water. There is the dipole-dipole interaction between the partial positively charged atom and partially negatively charged atom, such as HCl. We know that. And due to that dipole-dipole interaction, that is the partially charged atom of the one molecule is interacted by the partially charged atom of the another molecule with opposite charge, such as in HCl molecules. We know that in 11th standard, the HCl molecules such as HCl, this is one molecule, HCl, this is another, HCl, this is another. Now they are get bonded by the dipole-dipole interaction, because this chlorine have partial negative charge and hydrogen have the partial positive charge. So crystalline, that is the molecular solids, the bond within the molecular solids are covalent. This is the covalent bond, but the molecules are held together by various intermolecular forces of attraction, such as weak dipole-dipole interaction in the polar molecules such as solid HCl, H2O, SO2. These are the solids. When in the solid state, the molecules are linked together by the weak dipole-dipole interaction, and which possess the permanent dipole moment. We learn into the 11th standard. The dipole-dipole, due to the dipole-dipole interaction, the molecules have the permanent dipole moment. Again, the very weak dispersion or London forces are there may be between the two different molecules into the molecular solid. And these weak dispersion or London forces in non-polar molecule generally observed, such as methane, which is the non-polar molecule, chlorine, hydrogen. These forces are also involved in the monoatomic solids. Now these London forces, we know that the London forces or the weak van der Waals forces or dispersion forces are also present into the monoatomic solids such as argon, neon, which are the inert gas. The third forces may be the intermolecular hydrogen bonds. We know that if the compound contain in its molecule, that is the hydrogen atom, then there is the intermolecular hydrogen bonding, because hydrogen form the partially positive charge and it get attracted by the most electronegative atom of the another molecule by the hydrogen bonding. So the intermolecular hydrogen bonding in solids such as water. Water have the hydrogen atom and the water molecules have the hydrogen bonding, and that's why there is the solid water, that is the ice. Again the ammonia, hydrogen fluoride, they also have the hydrogen atom, so they have the hydrogen bonding. And in this oxygen, nitrogen and fluorine, all these three are the most electronegative elements. Now because of the weak intermolecular attractive forces between these molecular solids are usually soft because they have the weak intermolecular attractive forces. All these are dipole-dipole moment, hydrogen bonding or London forces. All these are the weak intermolecular forces. So generally molecular solids are always soft in nature, and they have the low melting point. Now the phosphorus is also the molecular solid. Again the sulfur is also the molecular solid. So they have generally the soft nature and generally low melting and boiling points. And the last characteristic is that they are the bad conductors of electricity, and so they are generally used as the insulators. They are good insulators. So the molecular solids are poor conductor of electricity, but they are the good insulators. That is why they are used as the insulators. Now let us learn the fourth type of this crystalline solid, that is the metallic solids. Now let us learn the fourth type of the crystalline solids, that is the metallic crystals or metallic solids. Now the characteristics of the metallic crystals is that the constituent particles in the metallic solids are the atoms of the same metallic element. That means if it is the gold, then the atoms of golds are the constituent particles. If it is silver metal, then the atoms of the silver are the constituent particle. So the constituent particles in the metallic solids are the atoms of the same metallic element, which are held together by the metallic bonds. Now what is the metallic bond? Now in metal, generally there are the positively charged, that is the cations are there, and the valence electrons into the metal atom, that is the outermost shell electrons into the metal atom, are generally delocalized or mobile electrons. So generally metal crystal or metallic crystal is described as the array of the positively charged metallic ions, and they are immersed in the sea of electrons. Sea of electron means in the so many electrons, that is the valence electron, this positively charged array are just like immersed. So the metallic bond is nothing, it is the attractive forces between the positively charged ion of the metal and the delocalized or valence shell electron, and that is the metallic bond. Now the metallic bond is in the solid metal, the valence electron, these are the valence electrons, are delocalized or mobile. Over the entire crystal, there is the over the entire crystal, there are the delocalized or mobile electrons, and they leave behind the positively charged metal ions. Now these electrons are mobile, they go from one outermost shell of the one atom of the metal to the another outermost shell of the another atom of the metal. So they are generally they are delocalized over the entire space of that of the metal, leaving behind the positively charged metal ions. So metallic crystals are often described as array of positive ions immersed in a sea of mobile electron. Now these are the array of positive ions and they are immersed in the sea of electron, mobile electron. The attractive interaction or attractive forces in the metal cations and mobile electrons constitute or called as the metallic bond. So the metallic bond is nothing but the attractive forces or attractive interaction between the cations, metal cations and the mobile electrons is the metallic bond. Metals are malleable, that is, when hammered, they can be hammered into a thin sheets. That is, they are the malleable. Metals are malleable, we know that. Metals are ductile, that is, they can be drawn into the thin wires as that of the gold. We can draw very thinnest wires from the gold and we can make the ornaments from the gold metal. So metals are ductile, metals are malleable. Metals are good conductor of heat and electricity. The best example is the copper, which is the very good electricity and heat conductor. So metals are good conductors of electrical and thermal conductivity. Metals have good electrical and thermal conductivity. For example, copper, silver, gold, sodium, potassium, ferrous, that is the iron. All these are the metallic crystals or metallic solid. These are the examples of the metallic solids. Now, if student, you understand very well the classification of the crystalline solids, there are the four types of the crystalline solid, that is the ionic solid, metallic solid, molecular solid and covalent network solid. If you understand these very well, all the properties of them, then you can like, subscribe and share this video to the other 12th science student so that they can also have the benefit for the knowledge and they can successfully score their board examination and also into the entrance examinations such as JEE, CT and NEET. And always you must take your textbook when you watch these videos. So during watching the videos, the 12th science chemistry textbook must be near to you. That is why you can understand these videos very well and confidently write the answer of the question into the board examination. Thank you.